Alrighty, hello every folks, and good morning. So I wanted to give a little bit of an introduction here as to where this run even comes from in the first place. So the manual fire armored core run is something that I've basically been working on for years at this point, like 5, 6 years, I think. But basically, the idea was that forever ago, I always was thinking growing up that it would be kind of interesting to go through all of these with your FCS broken. Like it was one of those things where I always refused to use energy weapons because for some reason I was just of the opinion that the energy weapons would fail on me. I was carrying around rockets on one shoulder because I always thought at some point something's going to jam up the computer and make it not work. It's a weird paranoia that's always kind of been there, but it led to this situation where I wanted to go through the entire series using only manual fire rockets and things. Now, this has been a very fun adventure. They're kind of interestingly balanced back in 3rd gen, and work really well there. Whereas in second gen, first gen, 4th gen, 5th gen, generally speaking, it was less of an issue. They're really, really strong in terms of stun locking in 1st gen. That was probably one of the more fun ones, though I will say that Valkyrie fight was absolute hell. As far as 4th and 5th gen, I mean, like, 4th gen, arguably they're optimal for a lot of situations. 5th gen, it's just playing the game normally. But yeah, for 2nd gen, again, they're pretty reasonably strong. But when it came to 3rd gen, they were kind of uniquely janky there. But thankfully, they brought the feature back for AC6. Now, I will say, it's definitely a way faster experience. Which is funny, because actually, as far as overall movement, like comparative movement between you and the other guy, it's pretty much the same. And actually, a lot of the strategies are the same too. Like, you may notice a lot of this isn't really coming down to precision firing, because you can try to precision fire all you want, you're just going to drive yourself nuts, but if you figure out ways to bait enemies into your shots, you're going to have a way easier time. And if you're wondering, no, this isn't actually a guy in Silent Line. This is part of Javelin's custom AI arena from years ago. If if you're a Silent Line fan, go ahead and just go look up Javelin's arena. Javelin just like the throwing weapon there, which seemed appropriate. Got to beat it with some javelins here. But yeah, fantastic arena there. At the time, I was going through this whole series with this janky thing because I wanted to make a thing that was intentionally built wrong. It's like we've got a bunch of relatively kind of light-ish weapons. They're kind of heavy, but kind of light. It's weird how that works. They're like a mix between on the lighter end and like lighter, more efficient end with like the multi-rockets and the napalms. Like, what genius decided to stick 120 rounds of napalm rockets on this thing? I don't know. Like, the left arm napalms were ridiculous. But then you had stuff like the regular arm rockets, going and taking up most of the load capacity of this thing. But anyways, this thing was intentionally wrong because there was a funny bug back in Silent Line where if your side shields broke, your defense went negative. So essentially, this thing was intentionally built wrong, and that's why it was chosen. Now, we're going to continue this on by using the by essentially using the MT in Armored Core 6. But for further explanation on all of the rules, we're going to go ahead and do a sort of second intro here. I just wanted to explain where this run came from. That it's not coming out of the blue. It isn't a, as I'm sure somebody would say, like a whole like clickbait trying to get AC6 views kind of situation. This is something that's been in the works for a long time, and this is just the latest chapter in this particular saga. Most of which has been recorded absolutely ages ago and has god-awful video quality, but dang it, it's been quite the adventure. Especially Last Raven. My god, that night fight took forever. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue on. Alrighty, so here we are in the latest iteration of this particular AC, the V.Airy Rusty Starch. Essentially, kind of the same idea as before, though thankfully, this is now an official feature in the game, namely the broken jailbreak AC here. Additionally, just here, if I can figure out where, there it is. Additionally, for the Patreon folks that have stuck around through all of this stuff, I have been updating the thing to have the names on there, which, why are they not showing up? Some of them are over here. There's also some on the other leg. I'm not sure why they're not showing up, but I've been trying to add them on there as time went on, since the stream stuff and everything else. But for some reason, not all of them are showing up right now. Not sure what that's about. Anyway. Maybe it just doesn't show them because we're right there. Who knows? Alright, let's get into the rules of this particular challenge. So, due to shenanigans, we actually don't technically have manual fire exclusive weapons in this game. However, you can turn any weapon manual fire. To this particular end here, if we go over here, or actually, no, not here, but if we go to the OS tuning, we'll see that we have a few things. Well, actually, let's go ahead and reset these, because these should have already been reset. So, all we get is manual aiming. Up to this point. What I'm going to allow is basically progress unlocks through the normal course of the game here. So manual aiming is one that we start with, and we're going to consider that one free, because it's basically a downgrade. But anyway, so this one's just one that we start with. Whenever we complete arena fights later on down the road, which we'll again kind of consider unlocked at the time that we unlock them, then we can go and add more OS tuning chips, but for the moment we have everything at its default value. So this leads to a lot of potential complications with this AC itself. For example, a lot of things that come to mind as potentially great ideas, like for example running dual laser pistols, turn out not to be possible just due to the fact that it needs more OS upgrades to even function. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be going through the game using whatever unlocks are available at the time. So, to actually start off the run, we're going to be able to pretty much exclusively just use one turner, and that's about it. So we'll just get one of these, and then we'll go ahead and take that off of here. So this AC actually has a lot of interesting limitations. It's been nerfed by patches a few times now, so it's actually got lower defense and everything else than before. It is meant to be a junk pile, after all. Its stability is near non-existent, its AP is barely there, it basically has no defense. It's not the fastest thing in the world by far, and it doesn't actually have a lot of energy to work with either. So this thing is an absolute clunky mess, but that's entirely the point. Now, that being said, we'll go ahead and adjust these different loadouts over time, but this is the AC that we're sticking with throughout the game here. I don't entirely know whether it'll be 100% possible, though based on what I've seen, like maneuverability-wise and whatever else, I think it can be done, but we'll see. So, here, let's see. Is there actually anything that would count as a worse thing? I think this is the one you start with. Anyway, so yeah, we're just running full jailbreak, and then we'll unlock stuff as we go along. I should mention that this thing is nearly incapable of even fighting other ACs at the moment, until we get the kick upgrade, which we can't get until, you know, Balteus. So, or not Balteus, but at least Operation Wallclimber, which is funny because there's actually one AC fight between this AC and being able to unlock the kick, and surprisingly, that's where the streaming section of this whole thing ended. You'd think that the Dafungin student AC wouldn't be too much of a problem. He's pretty predictable, but oh my goodness, does he hard counter this setup to such a degree that it's kind of impressive. I would honestly say, in many ways, like legitimately, that guy is harder to do than like Last Raven Zenaida or even Nexus of Angel there, or what the hell was the other guy? Friggin' like Final Pulverizer or whatever. It's, yeah, or Damon, I should say. Like legitimately, it feels like on the same difficulty as Damon was. But alright, let's go ahead and get into this thing here. The first few fights are not really much to write home about, but part of the reason that I was restarting this challenge was to do it in a sort of progress log style, like update style thing. So, so yeah, we're going to do each of these missions one at a time, successful attempts only, because there's going to be so many failures and it's not going to be fun to watch. Alright, I'll see you then. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get this thing started. So, destroy artillery installations is going to be the first one. I apologize for the random creaky noises in the background coming from my desk, because I have to like move stuff in and out to be able to turn the recording software on and off. I could edit it out, but the thing is, it almost feels like it makes sense for this particular thing as if the creaks are coming from the mech itself. Now, you may notice I have turned the voices off. This is intentional because, oh my goodness, we're going to be hearing some of them over and over and over. And did you know that Balteus has pulse shields? Because we're going to really find out Balteus has some freaking pulse shields. Any darn ways, we're going to go ahead and skip the loading screens from here on out. Lesson learned. Let's do this thing. Okay. So, not really much to say here. We've got a punch as our only melee option. I probably should have mentioned we're going to be banning all other melee. So we're going to switch over to manual fire here and then proceed on with the mission itself. There's actually a few things I'd like to start pointing out during this mission in particular, as far as the actual jank of this run itself. See, part of the challenge of it comes from the fact that aiming is weird for manual fire. Like you'll notice in some cases I'll start landing in order to actually fight things, because you'd think that it's just a fluid like movement into another thing, but a lot of the movement in this game, and frankly a lot of the AC games in general, are just kind of balanced around the idea that you're going to be moving all the time. So there's certain kind of assumptions that it makes about where you want to go, about momentum and whatever else. So there's going to be those cases where, you know, it's not quite working like you'd think it would. So in this case, actually, our punch is arguably our best weapon, so I'm going to try not to use it as much as possible. But you know, we'll address that over time, kind of see what we need to adjust for. The punch in this AC especially is, you know, obviously going to be a little bit less viable than something you'll see out of a punch-only run or what have you. But like, for example, right here where I'm going and specifically stopping and letting the boosters turn off before firing, being able to actually stay on target is kind of difficult. That's part of the reason we'll be retiring the turners for some fights. But this AC actually has really bad accuracy, like pretty much as bad as it potentially can get. This is actually kind of fascinating because it again leads to a kind of weapon loadout situation that you wouldn't expect. Namely, like the Turners, on paper, would be fantastic. They've got a good ammo capacity, they've got pretty decent damage at this point, especially after the buffs. And, you know, they're going to have a pretty high fire rate, and that's pretty handy. Now, the funny part is, they're actually really bad in a lot of cases here. So like, one of the things that we'll be looking at is the fact that their accuracy becomes just absolutely god-awful after a couple of shots, to the point where it's basically just, like, beyond machine gun levels of scatter on this particular AC. So that's also something to consider. So, as you've seen already, we're not exactly capable of taking much punishment. These are just a few little artillery cannons. Thankfully, once we're out of being stuck to just one rifle, we'll be able to do more about this. But we're actually flying blind in a lot of cases as far as how much stagger something is built up to, so that's also fun. But yeah, there's a lot of weird considerations to make here. As you saw earlier, technically speaking, dual laser pistols is probably going to end up being the best kind of offense this thing can manage, which is pretty fantastic. I love the laser pistols. However, at the same time, it cannot multiply that damage in any way. I believe it's actually potentially lower on this AC than it normally would be. But then at the same time, we have fun little considerations like the fact that it can't even... it literally can't even deploy using two of them at the moment. Anyway, so let's go ahead and go on to the next one real quick. Since these first ones are going to be pretty darn easy, so 135 cleanup is going to be our next one here. So we'll just go ahead and hop in. Alright, so 135 cleanup is going to test the limits of our ammo capacity here, because we're going to be missing a lot of things, and this is actually where we're going to see a lot of this aim jank. See, your aim is technically, like I said earlier, going to swing around in some cases. It changes depending on your speed, on kind of what you're fighting, whatever else, so there's going to be certain cases where it's just weird to hit stuff. Now, what I meant, one thing to note right here is when you're firing, again, it's kind of ballparking things. Like as you can see right here, it'll fire relative to our, the reticle it'll give us is relative to where we are, but we actually want to aim using the bottom reticle, not the actual center of the reticle itself. It's a little bit off-center there. So, while we will be able to snipe things to some degree, it is a bit off when using certain weapons. So just kind of assume that the reticle is where your head is, and then just kind of go from there. We'll also be making some use of manual reloads every now and then. And additionally, we'll be playing this a little bit more like a Saints Row kind of situation in some cases. Actually, less mobile in other cases. Let's go ahead and turn off our boosters real quick. These guys are going to be our shield guys, but we want to try and hit them before anything happens. So there we go. They're going to put their shields up, and that's when we go in with punches. because we want to actually stagger them. So the thing is, certain enemies are built around the stagger mechanic, so there's going to be certain cases where we want to be able to stagger them to some degree, you know? And while there is a very, very limited amount of lock-on to some extent with the punch, it's not anything that we can actually rely on. So even these basic MTs, which is funny because we're based off of one of them, will, as you can see, kind of be able to take a pretty decent amount of punishment relative to how you'd usually expect to just blow through this stuff. Now, another thing I should mention is that this is with sensitivity turned all the way up. And despite this, as you'll see, it's still pretty difficult to aim at things. Now, I could use the mouse and keyboard, but I don't want to use the mouse and keyboard. The whole point of this whole thing was to do this all on a controller. So, we're going to play this on maximum clunk, and that's just how it is. Alright, so, go ahead and get rid of them. Not to mention, it's just kind of fun to play this way, because we're basically playing as an MT, and that's something I've always wanted to do throughout this series. Alright, so, we've got those guys over there. Okay, I told it to fire 2 separate times there, but it was just saying no. Yeah, the Turner is basically being used as a semi-auto rifle. Like, and even though it has an auto mode, we're just taking one little shot at a time. In many cases, it gets a little bit easier to hit moving targets, but the whole moving target thing will actually become a little bit more relevant later. Because there will be certain cases where we'll actually be running into problems where specifically a combination of the reticle thing, of stuff moving, and the fact that barrel lengths are a thing, will cause certain shots to just be ineffective when you'd assume it would be the best approach. This is, again, like the whole perfect storm situation when it comes to the whole Dafungin AC thing. We'll get there when we get there. There will be other cases like right there where I was trying to use the default hover instead of the boosted hover, where potentially there's going to be those cases where it's going to help us aim a little bit better, but either way. Like, it's safe to assume as soon as you start moving that the shots become a little bit more random. Let's go ahead and punch that guy real quick. And yeah, if we were doing laser blades, you can see that, like, there would be no point in actually trying to aim at anything, and then it just becomes a melee-only run, which kind of defeats the entire purpose. So since the punches and kicks are an integral part of the system here, and, well, frankly, they're practically required to make this all happen, you know, stagger mechanics and all that, we're going to be allowing them, but not allowing any weapons to augment them. There we go. Get rid of you. Reload real quick while we get into position here. Now, like I said earlier, these are, for the most part, going to be only successful attempts unless something really crazy happens. So I'm pretty confident for these parts, considering that there's not really too much complication to them. But, yeah, eventually stuff will change. And you can see right here, like, while there is technically a little, like, I'm not even 100% certain that there is technically a lock-on to that punch now that I think about it. It feels like there's a little bit of lock-on, and we can slowly do the whole, like, Terminator walk to go take somebody out with a shield. Our defense is not going to make this practical anywhere past this intro. So, yeah. But for now, we get to pretend to be the Terminator, and that's always a good time. So, there we go. Pop, 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 pop. Can't hit a guy point-blank range. This is a great sign. But if you're seeing this video, it means that it was possible. Alright. Now, with that said, I'm pretty sure everyone's well aware that, at this point that, technically speaking, you can go to your area that you came from here, up there in that hole, because you're revisiting an area, and then there's a stealth guy in there, but we're not going to bother hunting down the stealth guy. He would be over here. Anyway. Rank D, oh no, how will we ever recover from this? Alright, so at this point is when the shop would end up giving you some more unlocks. For the sake of convenience, so we're going to go ahead and switch over to double turners here, because we would be able to acquire them at this point. We'll go ahead and go for something like this, because our next mission just requires us to hit a pretty large target. So that would be the transport helicopters, and then that will be where the actual difficulties of this thing begin. Because all you have to do for this section is to take out some stationary targets. Which is funny, because traditionally throughout the entire series, this has actually been more difficult than it sounds. Like, it's funny, where the AC-3 manual fire run started was nearly losing to Adieu, the very first guy that you run into that runs a downgraded starter AC, because frankly he moves so slow that it becomes difficult to hit him. One thing that we'll notice over time is that prediction shots are kind of the key to this kind of challenge. You'll notice in many cases that I'm not actually aiming directly at anything, but where it may potentially be. So, either way, we'll go ahead and turn that off. There we go. And we do technically have that RAM at our disposal as well, however that recently got nerfed, so that's a bummer. Anyway, let's go ahead and aim at this thing. Like, look at how inaccurate that is. We are scatter firing like a motherfucker. You can't hit anything, man. This is so the double turners are going to be basically our spray and pray option for situations like this, where there's big target that we need to hit relatively in that zip code. But as far as accurate firing, this is not going to work for anything, because these arms have the stability of a frickin' noodle. But yeah, that'll be that. That's this one completed. I actually never noticed there's even enemies down here. What? Huh. Interesting. I'm surprised you guys don't have logs on you. Seems like exactly where they'd hide combat logs. Anyway, so let's get on to the failure train. So before we get on the failure train, let me explain the weapon combinations I've tried so far as what's unlocked, what we have access to, and why this or that didn't work. So, I will settle on two Rensetsu, well, actually a Rensetsu and a laser rifle for this particular one. More than likely, this is going to be the successful one that we do here. I've done this double Rensetsus before. I started seeing a bit better results out of the Rensetsu and the laser rifle. So you get access to a lot of basic kind of beginner gear at this point, as well as the tutorial missions will give you several pieces of equipment. The laser pistol is one of them. The machine gun is the other. So let's talk about our most viable options here. So Rensetsus are going to have really good penetration versus his defenses. He's going to be moving, we're both going to be moving in and out of long or medium and close range quite a bit. Meaning that these rifles will be reasonably effective at both ranges. They've got solid damage at close range, still decent damage at medium range, and the burst allows for some free damage at the start of the fight. They've got really good ammo capacity, and essentially firing both allows for a quick little kind of needle shot that bypasses a lot of the downsides of this AC here. We have to fire them very sparingly and wait for our accuracy to go back completely to normal before firing again, though. Alright. I forget if not the Harris, was it the Harris? Whatever, one of the linear guns, I think it was the Harris, was potentially available at this point, but it effectively ends up being kind of like a worse version of the Rensetsu here, just on account of the fact that we can't really reasonably hit with the charge shots too effectively, for a lot of reasons. We'll get into that in a minute. But either way, it's just a less convenient version of the same thing in this particular context. Anyway, the Turners we've already seen. They can do really impressive range at close range, or impressive damage at close range, but it's just not going to work here, because this guy will be moving a lot. And even if we get close, there's better options for close range than this thing, but for many situations on bigger targets, we'll keep it in mind. Next up, we got the Ludlows. Really good close range damage, but he likes to move side to side, so keeping these on target long enough is a bit unlikely. Once we get up to something like the Chang Chen, this would be a bit more viable. In the case of these things, they don't have enough ammo capacity to really make this a good idea. Ludlows into punches has come close before, but I wouldn't label it as consistent. It basically required double Ludlows, charging, and then hitting a shoulder tackle, and then hitting with the Ludlows. We'll get to more on that in a second, because we've got the Coquillettes. Similarly, even after the ammo buff, They just simply don't have enough ammo. But that also said, they would have enough ammo if you could lock on, but the problem is they've got such a slow projectile speed, they simply will be gone by the time the bullet gets there. And again, they've been improved, but simply put, it's very, very difficult to manual fire these things. Not enough to make it worthwhile because you can't keep them on target long enough to break his stability. This guy is effectively the Onyx of Armored Core 6, that if you can break past his defenses, he becomes total butter, but yeah, we're not able to break his defenses in this case, so we're eating him in a worst case scenario. All right, then we've got the Jean Gia, I think is how this is pronounced. Very potentially solid damage, but fairly low radius, and it pretty much exclusively relies on prediction shots. I've gotten 4 to 5 shots off consistently per fight when using this, and it's good, but I just didn't feel like this was as consistent as the rifles. And then I believe that's everything that well, we also have the laser pistol, which dual laser pistols would be perfect for this. They've got really good velocity. They're like right there. It's easy to see where your shots are going. They've got great ammo capacity. But in their particular case, we can't wield 2 of them, which we get to the next best thing here, which is 1 Ransetsu and 166 LH. Now, between the 2 of these, the LH has a pretty wide area where it actually shoots, and the Ransetsu is, well, just good and solid and reliable damage-wise. Technically speaking, even though this shows 175 attack power, we're able to, this thing is able to partially penetrate his defenses, meaning that we're going to see really good damage out of this thing at super close range, whereas this thing is more for medium. The burst fire on this is also really handy when it can get in there. Actually, the burst fire on this is more useful than the bazooka, because it's effectively able to do the same amount of damage, but it's able to do so without always requiring a stance. So we can still use essentially these 2 as the equivalent of having 2 rifles, but then this thing can temporarily turn into the bazooka, if that makes sense. So anyways, that's our approach here. As time goes on, we'll probably be attempting things like quad handguns and what have you, but for the time being, we don't have too many weapons available at our disposal, not disposable, sorry. And yeah, this combination seems to be the most reliable of the starter weapon combos that I found. And now let's go ahead and get into the actual successful attempt here. Alrighty, hello every folks. Okay, so this is going to be mission 4 here, the Tester AC. You'd be shocked how much of a complete brick wall this frickin' guy was. So there's a lot of aspects that basically render this one into just like full-blown jank territory. It's like mechanically everything is going against this run in this particular situation. So normally, you know, whenever you're trying to get a clean shot on somebody, normally, you know, obviously you'd be locking on whatever else. It would be aiming for specific points that your AC is likely to hit. It'll be kind of accounting for stuff like terrain or what have you. Honestly, the fact that an FCS is able to make you hit frickin' anything in this game is really commendable on a programming level, because holy shit, it is difficult to hit some stuff. So like right here, this is after months of different approaches to this particular one. I should point out, it hasn't been months since the last video, but there were months on and off where I was going and doing this run. Now, basically I had told myself if I can ever beat this guy just whenever I'm sitting down and relaxing for the end of the day, that's when I'll consider making this an actual series, because that's when I'll consider that I've figured this out well enough to be able to actually get somewhere. Because unless you're able to beat this guy, like, I'm not worried at all about Wallclimber, but once you're able to beat this guy, that's when you're able to actually go ahead and get a hold of the kick, which gives you more options in terms of, you know, actually staggering something. Because you cannot hit, like, the broadside of a frickin' planet with the pistols when you're going and doing manual fire. You might be thinking like, oh, you just got to figure out the lead and then you track them down. Yeah, that, you know what, nice, you know, positive thinking there, but that ain't gonna happen. Thing is, they've got so much lead that you're practically firing like 180 degrees from somebody and hoping to be able to hit them. It's not necessarily the visual aspect of this, as you'll pick up on over the course of this video here. There's very little visual about this. It's mostly instinctual firing, just like it was in previous AC games. I should point out also right now the audio, or rather the video for this is looking really jacked up on my end. When I was actually looking at the playback, it was looking fine, so I'm not really sure why it's acting like it is right now. So hopefully it'll be, once I have everything all put together, Hopefully it'll be looking nice. Anyway, so let's talk about the many things going against this run here. So you may notice there's a ton of crap out on the field. In fact, the weird choice of location where I'm doing this fight right now may seem different from when I was doing it initially. That's because there's a lot of potential approaches to this particular situation. But for one thing, there's a lot of terrain in the way, and there's also water. Now, in any other situation, if one of your shots decides to scatter, you may potentially run into a situation where you'll be dead on with your shot, but it'll decide to scatter towards their foot. Now, a foot shot would do reduced damage, but it still would be doing damage. In this case, pretty much anything from the bottom, like 15-20% of the AC, might as well just not exist, because if it's underwater, the bullet just disappears. Which, granted, that's probably realistic, considering what we know about ballistics in water, but still, you know, it's a thing there. For another thing, I should point out I'm playing this on a Steam Deck on medium settings. Now, this is all well and good in a playing it normally kind of sense, but there are going to be occasional situations where it just decides to jitter a little bit. Those are those moments where you'll see me getting completely cleaved in half like a Thanksgiving turkey as soon as you know, not actually remotely dodging on time. If you're wondering, like, hey, why is this idiot like half an hour off with his dodge? That would probably be why, because I hit the dodge button and it's like, I don't know. So it's just gonna sit there. So that's fun. Hopefully I'll correct that in the future. I can potentially set it to low, but it doesn't feel like it's anything performance-wise necessarily. I think it's just something about how the game does stuff. I mean, it does this in a normal situation too. Anyway. So that's all well and good. So we have bullet scatter accounted for, we have debris accounted for partially. You may notice there's also several bits of destructible debris that are just going to be up in the air. Occasionally there'll just be bits of invisible debris that you can't quite see that the shots will just get eaten by. And additionally, there's the old fun thing where the aim is trying to help you out in terms of you know, where you'd want to be for lock-ons and such, because this game's really optimized for playing it normally. So this means that occasionally you'll move the stick to the right general location, and it'll be like, nah, I don't think so. I think you mean a little bit more over here. And so you'll be off by like a millimeter or two from where you were intending to be. Now, this isn't really a problem in the game normally, and this is basically how the AC games have always done it, because it feels like slightly more clunky, but it also feels more natural when doing the whole lock-on thing. Because if you're moving around completely smoothly when you're doing the whole lockbox thing, it doesn't necessarily feel as right, if that makes sense. Anyway, it's a little bit hard to put that into words. Hopefully I'll figure out some better way to phrase this as the run goes on. But this is the way it's been for every AC game. It's why, over the years, I've just basically come to this whole conclusion that the best way to handle a challenge run like this is essentially to do predictive firing, where you just sort of figure out their pattern, you kind of instinctually figure out, like, okay, think like the computer, it's going to be over there, you know, shot over the shoulder, friggin' 180 no-scope kind of thing. It looks cool, but it's not meant to be flashy. It's just like, I know that guy's going to be there. It's easier for me to aim where he's going to be rather than try to figure out, you know, where to actually track him with his shot. So just schedule your shots ahead of time, as it were. So let's talk about choices of weaponry here. So initially I was thinking probably the best solution, and actually the way that I did this originally, was the dual Rensetsus, the dual marksman rifles. They're really solid rifles. They do a pretty solid chunk of his health, roughly about 5%, if they both hit dead on. But that's the other thing. So when it comes to his actual like frame of his AC, notice what you see or don't see. Because you see the core, and, you know, pretty big core, but realistically speaking, that's one target. His feet taper off, which means that knee shots aren't as likely to happen. His arms taper off, which means that arm shots are less likely to happen. Weapons are facing forward. It will detect, you know, weapons facing forward as a hitbox, but point being, his hitbox is weirdly shaped, meaning that, like, it's looking for those specific dead center shots. So if the shots scatter, or if my aim is off or whatever else, all of those tapered areas off to the side mean that he is actually surprisingly hard to hit for such a chunky AC here. I mean, respect where it's due, I gotta say, like, the hitboxes are really damn precise in this game. Like, I've seen shots just going within millimeters of his armor and it wouldn't register. So that's friggin' insane. So yeah, I gotta respect that. It's annoying for the purposes of this run, but on a programming level, like, damn, that's really cool. Anyway, so this means that we now have a case where we're trying to, in general, aim with the bottom end of the little reticle there. But unfortunately, if it scatters, we basically have, I don't know, like roughly 50% of any area where it can potentially hit, that it'll just completely miss him because of his weirdly circular shape. We've got the water eating about 20% of those shots. We've got the fact that we're moving around a million miles per hour. And then we've got my frickin' nemesis on top of all of this, and those are his pursuer missiles. I cannot put into words how much I frickin' hate these things. In any other thing, they're kind of a neat overall gimmick. Honestly, design-wise, I gotta respect that this guy's basically the Onyx of Armored Core 6. He's hyper defensive. As soon as you break his armor, he's basically pudding, and he's there to try and wrap you with his missile barrages. So yeah, you know what? I respect that. That's just a cool design. Anyway, so that all being said, those missiles and the blade will just insta-stagger this AC, so that's just, not a perfectly ideal scenario there. But yeah, for another thing, those missiles, I basically constantly have to be circle dodging and, like boost hopping off to the side and whatever else in order to dodge the damn things. So it's, yeah, pretty difficult to get out of the way of them. So that all being said, it eventually becomes a bit of a dance. So let's talk about the hard numbers of this whole thing. So, as I mentioned earlier, the Rensetsu's there, roughly speaking, if everything is perfectly ideal, it would need, like, give or take 20 dead-on shots from both rifles to be able to take him out, which, that's not exactly a tall order in and of itself. However, due to scatter and whatever else, that's extremely unlikely, so most of those shots, unfortunately, end up not actually getting that. It just ended up being a factor of luck. I got to the point where I was getting pretty damn accurate with those things, but in a lot of cases, it just was a case where they would scatter just a little bit and it would fly through his armpit instead of his core or something. So it needed to be really precise. And you might be thinking, wait a minute, get up, and, like up in his face, get super close range. Cool idea. Unfortunately, it ends up occasionally just shooting straight through him in that scenario, where the shots start off a little bit ahead of the rifle itself. So you got to stay at a very specific range. His main punish over the course of all of this is his blading thing, which is, very punishable. Actually, hold on, one quick thing. Let me skip ahead to, let's say, where would it be? I think it would be around like the 50-minute mark here. This might be it. Yeah, this was one of the heartbreak attempts, I think. Anyway, I might have to edit the actual video part of this around a little bit to show some of the cooler attempts here. But anyway, so yeah, as far as the rifles go, they were doing that damage solidly enough, but it was the randomness of the scatter that made them a bit of a problem. So damage-wise, fine. Everything else, not so much. I tried pistols multiple times, but simply put, staying on target with him long enough, even I found like a sweet spot on the helicopter where you could get him to sit still for a few seconds. Even doing that, it just simply wasn't enough to get the job done. Using turners, again, extremely RNG dependent based on scatter and whatever else, those actually could put out really good damage when they hit. I had one case where I shredded off like a quarter of his health with one really, really good charge, but yeah, any kind of consistency out of that strategy is a complete no-go. So this was another one that I got really, really close with here, which was the Rensetsu and laser pistol. So the idea behind this one is that both of them are able to charge, and both of those charges are able to do significant damage to him if they land. The laser pistol is probably able to do like 7 or 8% of his total health bar. However, as you saw right there, it's able to take a pretty meaty chunk off. Actually, I guess it's closer to 5%, give or take. Anyway, big old chunk of damage. It's fairly consistent to land because those lasers have a pretty big hurt box, and additionally, due to the fact that it's a standing ability, like if you're firing it while standing, you're able to kind of pivot it around, kind of like how you do the coral sword, where you can basically just sweep an area with it, so you can at least get some damage, even if you end up missing the mark on the actual like triggering of the shot there. On the other hand, if you're charging the Rensetsu there, it allows you to keep firing the other one semi-auto to keep doing like little chip damage over time, but it's able to fire its burst relatively quickly. It's less easy to hit when he's standing still with that burst fire there. I mean, it's hell significantly harder because, again, bullets will just keep bouncing off of stuff. The lasers just seem to go through it. It felt like the bullets just kept getting eaten by the water. Not to mention similar ammo capacities on both allowed for switching between both of them, especially when these fights go on for a while and your fingers get a little bit sore. So anyway, the idea was you semi-auto with one, you charge fire with the other one, and then you just try to punish wherever possible. This wasn't a particularly good attempt, but you can kind of see where the fundamentals were at. So this was I think I'll probably try to edit in the one that went really really well with this because I was getting all of the shots like midair was going and shooting the guy down wherever possible, and it was going really darn well until it wasn't. But yeah, so this one could work. It's just again just I couldn't quite get him pinned down and eventually was running out of health. So I was like, okay, fine. Screw it. I don't like the idea of using the bazooka because it's two weapons that don't have any option to keep moving. As we've discussed, this thing is basically a lightweight in terms of its armor, but a heavyweight in terms of its energy availability. So we're talking about a case where it needs to constantly be on the move in order to be able to dodge things. Unfortunately, this like the idea of having two weapons that would just sit still was extremely unappealing. So as much as I was kind of dreading using the bazooka there, because basically landing its shots is similar to the pistol there, I figured, okay, fine, we'll give it another go. I've tried it multiple times before, and it's just I would always end up running out of health. But I was running out of health using the faster options too, and I wasn't doing the best job in the world recreating the actual rifle win from forever ago. So figured, all right, whatever. Let's just go ahead and do this thing. So let's go ahead and skip to. I'm just mentioning for kind of my own reference here. I think it was the 121 mark. No, not the 121 mark. Okay, 117 is when. What did I try at that point? Oh yeah, I was just pissed off and going in with pistols. Or no, that was the dual turners. That was the here. Actually, hold on. Let's go back to like 115 ish. Because this was the thing with the turners where at one point I just got like a really good volley and his just health started disappearing. Uh, I think I got it here. Was it one of the other ones? I think it was this one. The problem is, yeah, you can see here it's so inaccurate. Even if you're dead on, like you got to be at a specific distance for the shots to do anything. You're slightly too far away, they ricochet. You're slightly too close, they just go straight through him. And anywhere in between, they've just got all of the accuracy of freaking drunk with hypothermia, and it just goes absolutely nowhere at times. But at this point, I was literally just testing the turners to see what kind of damage they could potentially put out. Because I'd seen cases where I got effective shots off, like direct core shots, and they did almost as much as the Rensetsu's to some degree. Like not exactly as much, but considering their fire rate, if it was possible to do that consistently, they could be a legitimate threat. And yeah, I think this might be the moment right about here ish. Where just suddenly there was a really good volley off. Was it? Because he had one last repair. He fired some missiles. Might have been. Because I know I just looked up at his bar and it's like, wow, that's just a lot that just suddenly disappeared out of nowhere. Um, he just kept getting hits and hits and hits and hits and hits at this point. But still, like it could work. It's just too random. If this was just a manual fire run, get some nice accurate arms, the turners would thoroughly dominate that. If there was anything that could keep up with the recoil of these things, then yeah, then they're really good weapons at this point. I don't really care what anyone says on that. Like they are legitimately solid. It's kind of like they remind me if you've ever played Saints Row 2, like running dual Vice 9s in that, where like it's just a very very consistent, stable amount of damage against pretty much everything. Um, Granted, not nearly as accurate, but if you have the right arms, I could definitely see them functioning the same way, where it's just a pinpoint friggin' monster. And now we get to the winning attempt. So I was like, okay, I'll give this bazooka thing one more shot, and then I was gonna go to work for the evening. So I switched over. I'm skipping over several different approaches here with like trying out laser pistol and Ludlow stuff like that. But I figured the idea here was that every previous approach for those consistent weapons, I was running out of time. So eventually, just ran out of health, no matter what way I was slicing it, and it was really just coming down to the randomness of the shots. So if I could maybe, just maybe, make this work, that'd be something. The main downside that you're going to see very readily here is that this thing can't dodge. Also, another fun little fact here, one of the reasons that I didn't like using the bazooka for this and kept using charge weapons is because yeah, they have a pretty big explosion radius, and so or pretty big thing for triggering certain things. Because that helicopter is considered an NPC, if you try to fire a bazooka at it from many angles, it'll actually decide to detonate itself for the helicopter instead of Mr. Trainee AC here. So yeah. Anyway, so you can see damage-wise what's so appealing about this particular setup. Also, you can probably see energy-wise how it doesn't exist. So essentially, he does the blading thing. We do the little sweepity sweep with the laser shooty, and then I go for prediction shots with the bazooka. And for the most part, as you'll see here, this was the one that ended up doing it. Um, I kind of had intuited how he was flying at this point. One of the things that kind of comes up when you're doing a run like this is that after a little while, you just sort of start seeing where they're going to go in your head, and that's not meant to be like a flex thing. It's literally just how your brain adjusts to stuff kind of thing. It's kind of like if you've ever gone sparring or whatever else. After a certain amount of time, you just sort of start seeing what the other person's going to do, and it's a fun experience. Um, but anyway, so in this particular case, just kept doing those prediction shots, kept trying to get them off wherever they could. He goes for the blade, we go for the shoot. And you can see those annoying missiles becoming a thing here. I was trying to be hyper aggressive and stay as close to him as possible. If you stay close enough, sometimes you can delay him from firing those missiles. You're not going to necessarily stop all of them, but you can do something. You can at least kind of delay his shots. Staying at a distance, you can kind of get into a rhythm of dodging the missiles and then firing out rifles, which is good, but again, same old thing as before with the whole scatter thing. So as much as I wanted this to be a pure sniping exercise, unfortunately we're going to be doing more sniping with the frickin' bazooka than we will with the. Oops, accidentally muted my mic there. Anyway, so we'd be doing more sniping with the bazooka here. It is basically the sniper rifle of this game. It is. I mean, the bazooka has always been a pretty decently long range weapon, but it is, for all intents and purposes, in my mind, equivalent of the sniper rifle for this game, because why would sniper rifles exist in a world where bazookas have this much freaking ammo? I'm actually shocked that the Zhangji actually got buffed a while ago. Actually, since I started this challenge, I gotta say it actually got significantly harder because before the jailbreak used to be able to just barely survive his missiles and keep on going. Now, if those two missiles if those two missiles land, yeah, this thing is toast. It's just dead in the water to immediately get followed up on. So that's fun. I actually was shocked that we almost got a stagger off on him there with enough bazooka shots. Like it actually was getting somewhere. So I know for the future, if this thing has the weight capacity to support it, we might consider doing something like a Rensetsu plus bazooka for staggering certain things, because this thing's pretty stable. This AC is flying anyway. Um, so we were going back and forth. I was making good time. I still had another repair kit left. Unfortunately, took several staggers there. In case the music is acting up, which I'm almost certain it will be, I'm gonna have to correct that later. Unfortunately, there was an unfortunate thing that comes from trying to record off a Steam Deck. So, to explain my setup here real quick, I basically have, the deck itself, and that's what I'm recording off of. Now, I like using, actual handheld controls. Now, should I probably use a wireless controller? Maybe. But I don't want to run into the same situation that I used to run into ages ago, where I would go turn on the PS4 or something like that, and suddenly it would be like, oh wait, turn on computer, and then my wife's annoyed because she's trying to turn the thing on to watch her show or whatever else. I'm like, hold on, it's connected to my computer. Well, why are you connecting it to computer? To turn it back to this thing. Like I am. But anyway, so point being, it's it's a logistical annoyance because this thing already has a controller in there, so all well and good. Now, the downside of this is that if you don't know, the Steam Deck has one port, essentially one USB-C port that it runs everything off of, which has this little cable running off of it. And what I should probably do is tape it down in some way. I think I have some ideas on how to fix this for the future. Um, but basically, it creates this thing where it will disconnect all audio sources and then switch over to defaults. Now, because of the fact that I disconnect and reconnect this thing, when it goes back to defaults, it basically just means it goes back to the inbuilt stuff. Downside of all of this whole situation is that OBS does not understand this, and so it basically just decides, oh, I guess I'm using this freaking Rembrandt or whatever system it's got inbuilt there, which doesn't have anything going through to it, because I have it muted because the internal microphone of this thing is trash. So anyway, point being, it disconnects all audio sources and just kind of mutes itself. So if the sound suddenly cuts out in some portions of this run, sorry. Eventually, I just get really into doing this stuff, and I eventually wiggle the wire slightly too much, and it disconnects this stuff, and you'll notice it does the occasional extra jitter in those situations where the sound cuts out. Yeah. So and for those that were here for the streams, that's exactly why, because it's like one of the annoyances about the Steam Deck is just that there's good friggin' lord, I am a bit of an idiot sometimes. Okay, so two things. First of all, I was going and messing around with this thing, trying to do a whole like visual indication thing over like, here, look, this is exactly how the wire would occasionally disconnect, and that was a bit of an annoyance, and then ended up disconnecting my mic again. And then it ended up, forgetting where my mic was and all of that kind of thing. So that was smart. Anyway, then proceeded to go and set it up again, then record this all the way to the end again, and then realized I forgot to hit record. I am just on a roll here today. So, amazing professional quality aside, let's carry on here. So I was feeling the pressure at this point. Like I was nailing these prediction shots. It was looking pretty solid, but that low health was really feeling that low AP at this point. There was like nothing left of this poor thing. It was just begging to go in for an oil change. It's like, please, please, sir, just let me rest. All I ask is to not put me through this every 5 minutes. So trying to get those last few shots in, going for those big hits, but he's dodging. He's dodging like his life depends on it, because it does. Dodging over the building. They're just barely clipping the end. I see the blade coming in from the side. Uh, Go and dodge out of the way of that. Do more spin shots. I'm just desperately like trying to clip him with the laser pistol here. It's like, come on, he's just got one shot left. I don't even want to risk the bazooka half the time. Like, I don't want to risk slowing down because I know one of those missiles is going to come through the smoke because you see all these dang particle effects in the air, whatever else. So circling around, circling around, circling around, and then finally, like, nailed him with a shot around the corner there, right in the chest. Oh, and that was the end of it. And then finally, the game was trying to do one of those things that you see pop up on the Reddit all the dang time, where there's just some like random shot that hits you right after you beat the boss. Which naturally, then I proceeded to absolutely unload on this guy because you know what? After all the stuff he put me through, that's just what you got to do. Man, oh man, though, whew, this guy. It's surprising how much of a challenge this guy can be. And anyway, now we move on to mission 5, which after mission 5, that's when stuff really starts actually unlocking for us. That's when we can finally start making some real progress here. All right, back to it. Alrighty, here we go. Turns out I actually completely forgot about this one. So it turns out before we actually can get to Operation Wallclimber, we get to Operation This is going to be no effort whatsoever. We basically have attacked the dam complex, which, I mean, granted, we're technically New Game Plus, so it's going to give the options and whatever else. I'm going to be sticking with strictly, like, New Game type shenanigans. Again, we're going to be sticking with the rules of what was technically unlocked at the time, but, I'm not going to go reset my save file and install mods or whatever else to go make that all happen. I do kind of wish that it had some kind of a new game options like that, but hey, whatever. One save file, sometimes that'll just be a thing on some games. Anyway, all we gotta do is blow up some random stuff and things, so I'll just see about hitting some things here. We're probably gonna make absolutely no money on this, but I'm in a shocking turn of events. That's not gonna be a problem whatsoever. So we already have all the parts, so whatever. It's just time that's an unlock now. Out of curiosity, how do we do with rams? Like, in most situations, I'm assuming it's just going to be easier just to walk up to something. Like, this is something that you would see in 3rd gen as well, where it's just your movement speed is so crazy fast sometimes that it genuinely just becomes easier to not bother. I was kind of hoping to hit this guy, but there we go. There he goes. As our allies are a little bit slow there. That's going to go away right there. Ah, that would have looked pretty cool, but oh well. We'll just hit him with the bazooka. I meant to actually switch over to turners for this, but whatever. This setup works just fine. It's actually kind of a little bit weird to play this way because there's just that weird delay on the bazooka, which I'm kind of, you know what? As much as I genuinely generally would avoid using bazookas just because it's generally considered good or whatever else. This particular one is really growing on me just because it looks like the Resident Evil 1 shotgun every time I look at it from the bottom. Alright, anyway, we got Mr. Liberation Front over there doing the whole go delete the dudes thing. And we're gonna go ahead and say no, Chief, because, wrong timeline. Whatever they're giving you, I hope it's worth it. What they're giving us is an easy mode in a challenge run that's going to be hard enough as it is. And by the way, once we end up getting to the ending, I am going to go back and do the other ending routes and whatever else, just to do those boss fights. Like, I would assume if one ending's possible, the rest are absolutely going to be possible. But we'll cross that bridge when we burn it. We were able to hit the other guy and then just miss point blank there. But that's always how these runs end up going, So every time with these manual fire runs, it's just this weird mix of, how the hell did you possibly miss that, along with how did you possibly hit that? The fact that I spent, 30 minutes on frickin' Adieu in AC3, and then in Last Raven it was that one section where it basically just involved, shooting down helicopters with basically no silhouette in the middle of the night sky. There we go. That's him gone. We'll just casually saunter over this way. I don't think we even have to fight that guy, but I mean, granted, it's hardly a fight anyway. But I want to get to Wallclimber. I want to get my parts, so I guess Index gets to live this time. This is what we were here for, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we don't need to fight that guy. It's usually he lasts all of 3 seconds, so who knows. Doop, doop, doop. He's got the little gem. Alright, let's get to the actual thing here. Also, another thing I noticed, I forgot to mention this about the cord I was talking about last time, because I was just shoving it in there. It's funny because I think it's actually heat-related when it has issues, because it's way too much on one port, and I probably shouldn't be doing it that way, but given that the deck has one port, I'm not sure how else you'd do it, aside from, I don't know, some kind of Bluetooth solution here. I'm trying to think about why don't I use them. Do they make Bluetooth headsets that don't suck? Maybe. I don't know. Something to look into another day. But, what I was going to say is, usually only has those weird issues once it's actually heated up. Oh, right. We have to... You know, whatever. Okay, let's, You know what? Actually, this will be fine. Will it be fine? No, I need a little bit more maneuverability. Yeah, we're going to go turners on that. Actually, no, I think we're going to go, do we go laser pistol Turner, or do we go... I think we just go Rensetsu's on this. Reason I'm being a little bit more cautious on it is just because of energy drain and things like that. Because the energy load on these things is pretty nice. Actually, no, I think we'll take it one step further. Probably just accept a little bit of... There we go. Yeah, I think we'll just go double turners, actually. Like, over time, the turners have definitely grown on me. Like, I like the Rensetsus for their accuracy and whatever else. But the turners are just that nice mix of just light enough and just punching enough. The music no longer fits, but screw it. We're going to keep the music in place for once we get to Operation Wallclimber. Generally speaking, I completely forgot about all of these other ones because they're, frankly, something that you could beat with a frickin' spoon. I mean, even if this one ends up taking a couple tries, because I'm not particularly good at platforming sections in this game, it'll still be a thing, so... Anyways, so we do it this way. I'll just go ahead and start boosting over in this direction as soon as they start talking about turning the eye on. Then we start adjusting a little bit. So all we gotta do is get over behind this thing, and then we're off to the races. So we're almost there. Should be nice and good. There we are. Alright. So now we switch over to our manual fire, as you do. Is that actually gonna be able to reach? I doubt it. Little closer here because we got to hit it right over there. Can that reach? No, that's ricocheting. I meant to do it a little differently. Yeah, that'll do all right. Man, look at that spread. Single shots are... Wow. That wasn't even in the same frickin' zip code for those two. Not even... It's like, when doing single... Yeah, okay, that's just because we're spinning, I guess. It seems like the Rensetsus will make a full spin when they take their shot. These ones seem not to. And even though I saw this in a recent Did You Know kind of video thing, I kid you not, the first time I did this, that thing actually did legitimately just fall on top of me. So, we're gonna not attempt to test that. We're just going to go ahead and head over this way. You can get to some landing spots right about here-ish. There we are. Take a little bit of a rest over in this direction. They're going to detach this section in just a moment. And then we're just going to attempt to get to the bottom there. Alright. So there we are. So far, so untouched. So next order of business, we just kind of hop down here a little bit. Give this thing a few shots. If we just sort of face in that direction, eventually some shots will go in the right direction. There we go, just mag dump that a little bit. Yeah, this entire section feels like it's built to let you know that the circle button exists. Alright. Because yeah, without the circle button, you're not having a good day. Reach that from here. Just so you know, I don't think we can actually survive a full laser blast from that thing. It's just ricocheting. We'll just get a little closer then. Yeah, I feel like the turners are going to be our go-to for a lot of situations, but... Actually, wait, did I ever even turn on my mic? Am I just talking to myself? No, I did turn on the mic. Okay. But I got a feeling that there's going to be a lot of situations where we're going to switch over to the Ludlows. Like right now, I'm kind of regretting not using them. Alright, just keep going forward. Don't get roasted. Beautiful. Laser, no lasing, please. There we go. Don't die, don't die, don't die, don't die. Alright. So its health is now low. Now let it do its thing real quick. I think we're safe here. Safe-ish. I know one of these platforms was flagged a little bit weird, so it didn't actually do its thing. Now we go over here, we wait. Have a nice little jolly saunter over here, wait for the blue lasers to go. It still remains not a good commando name. And then redo that cycle, because, you know. Perfectly timed, okay. And now we just sort of pray that some of these shots actually hit where they need to hit. Alright. I don't know how this thing fights, because I never had to survive this long. Oh, crap. Oh, man. Oh, that's funny. Alright, I did the big smart and accidentally knocked the thing out, so hopefully that doesn't happen again. Let's do this thing. Also, we're going to change the music to something a little bit more appropriate, hopefully. Alright. So, and right here, hopefully don't get melted. Where's this thing we're supposed to be shooting? Oh, it's below. Yep, it's definitely the spot. You can definitely get melted there. Alright. Not even sure any of those shots actually landed. Checkpoint back. And now we move forward. Yeah, you never really appreciate just how crappy this thing's defenses are until you get insta-gibbed by the, like, frickin' Strider. Yeah, there will be no weapons that are off the table for this particular run for reasons that should be obvious. Oh, crap. Run! Some shots, frickin' run. Shots and run. I don't exactly know how we got hit there, actually. Right, what's the deal? Heal. Yeah. It was too far into Sinlock to heal out of that. Yeah, I'm not really sure what the deal is with the hitbox on that laser. 'Cause I was pretty sure that that was far out of its range. Oh, well. Maybe should have been going bazooka and laser pistol again. Oh, I think I see what's going on. It's like a pulse explosion. That's what it is. Like I said, I'm super unfamiliar with this thing's other phases, because normally it never survives this long. Although, this time it's looking far rougher for Senor Eyeball over here. Alright, so we got laser. Then we got missiles at some point. Barely miss here. Alright. That is the eye dealt with. place looks pretty nice, actually. Like, you don't really see it until you start looking out in this direction. And usually it doesn't necessarily go that far, but, like, it really is a pretty nice landscape out here. It looks all super dusty when you're down there, but, you know, there's a little bit of green to it. There's stuff trying to grow. And that looks like it could be Arizona over there, honestly. It looks like it maybe could be, like, Flagstaff or something. I don't know. I mean, you need more forests, but, like, you got the plateaus, but... And it'd be hard to tell if you even were near a forest in this game, but still, you know? I guess you got lakes and things here, so I mean, something's going to be able to grow. Oh yeah, I guess that thing died too, but, you know, good friggin' riddance. Also, these like, I don't know if anybody else is like this, I just really like semi-auto weapons in games. Like, semi-auto rifles are just my frickin' jam in any game that they're in. I don't know, just something that feels very satisfying. Just feels like that, like, just that middle ground of precision and, you know, DACA, as it were. Like, I was really happy with New Vegas and finding the marksman rifle and stuff like that. Especially after being... You know, after finding the assault carbine, I'm like, this doesn't feel like a rifle, and then you get the service rifle, and it's like, well, this thing is freaking amazing. And then you get to the marksman rifle, and it's like, yeah, I got one with a scope on it, because the hunting rifle is too slow. That game's satisfying. Anyway, back on track here. Yes, notification. Don't know, don't care, computer. There should be walls to climber. Go away, Peter. Alright. There it is. Might have to switch over to bazooka and something here. I just figure movement is going to be a bit more important here. You really don't have that much that you need to do here, and inaccuracy is kind of a good thing. So I figure phases that we're going to go through here. We're going to try Turners if that's completely ineffective. Going to try Ludlows. And then, you know, potentially like Bazooka and Ludlow would be the go-to after that. Maybe Bazooka Pistol, because you want to stagger the Tetrapod, but we'll play it by ear. I'm going to go double-check one thing real quick. It is recording. Just making sure. History of messing that one up today. Alright, so they're all going to be firing. We've got that one guy firing down over there. Now, the route that I prefer to take here is this direction. There's a lot of ways you can go about this, but I prefer to land around here, take a little bit of a rest, turn off our lock-on. Just kind of ignore all this stuff. Skirt along the wall here. Didn't mean to actually turn that off there. Alright. Got those all done and sorted. Now we're going to be fighting this thing for a while, so I'm going to go deal with the gun emplacements. This is what I mean about sometimes inaccuracy can actually kind of be a little bit of an asset for situations like this. Got that. Alright. Yeah, I got two guns too. Two guns and a checkpoint system. This one definitely makes you appreciate shotguns for sure. I have a feeling we'll be relying on shotguns for some bosses. It remains to be seen. Like, low ammo count definitely seemed to be a problem on a run where accuracy is a pretty clear and present issue. These other MTs are showing up like, yeah, we're gonna do something here. One downside of all this is we don't have any kind of health indicators, so I have no idea what we're doing to this guy. Let's go ahead and use our repair kits, because we'll get those back later. So far, circle strafing seems to be doing the job just fine. Probably, maybe. He's freaking out. I don't think he even expected to be around this long. Also, we're gonna go deal with this guy, because I'm tired of his crap right now. Hello, Mr. Gigantic Gun Cannon thing. Why are you like this? Why do you have to have infinite range? Hit this one for good measure. I don't think it's got any shot of actually hitting us, but... worth the shot. Very literally, shot in the face, maybe. Ammo's looking fine. Ricochets, here we're getting hits. There we go. See, we're doing just fine. We don't need no health indicators. Gonna top off for good measure. What's the fun in this run if you can't do a Terminator walk every now and then? It's just satisfying. Slightly effective, Darker. It's just more satisfying than it has any right to be, you know? I don't know why these things are so freaking satisfying. Like, they hit like freaking Nerf darts, but I don't even care. Got the accuracy to match. Nah, screw it. It's somewhere in that general zip code. Oh, that's cool! They gotta kneel down to use their grenade launcher. I never even noticed that. Appreciate that. Great detail. Alright, let's go ahead and go over here. And this guy should actually have a health bar. So we can reload our turners, reload our repair kits. They can wonder once again why they sent the trash to take out the trash, but it's fine. Sometimes your computer just breaks before the big presentation and you gotta make do with your sketch pad and a laser pointer, you know? Like, it's okay. This is totally where the blueprints would be if I had them. Okay. Go ahead and take a repair. Alright, Rusty. I'm gonna bet we can out-Rusty ya. I do appreciate that for boss fights, it actually does keep your manual lock. I know that seems like a weird thing to be excited for, but 3rd gen wasn't quite like that. Like, it would randomly decide what it wanted to keep activated of your systems. Okay, interesting. We can actually hit him on the back of the elbows and it'll work out just fine. Fortunately, this whole back elbow strafing thing is gonna kind of suck once we get to the mine phase. Alright, Mr. What the hell is your name again? Goliath? Give me my frickin' upgrade points so I can get my kick. I must become like Chuck Norris. I must learn to use the kick. forever believe that FromSoft was just watching Chuck Norris and Oblivion when they invented the kick mechanic. Was that a kick in your robot? Guys, we hate Sean Connery around here. Alright. Question is, would this be better or worse with the Rensetsus? I'm looking at my ammo count, I'm looking at his health. I'm not really entirely sure that this is going badly, but mildly disappointing maybe. We're gonna let him actually go into phase 3 here. Or, sorry, go into a third turn here. So we can hopefully have him stay staggered after Rusty leaves. Alright, he's already in phase 2 though. Downside is, this thing doesn't really have a whole lot of staying power, you know? Especially not mid-air. Doing fine on repair kits so far. Kind of playing a little risky with the health there. There we go. It's like 3,000 health is right at that midpoint. It would be wasteful to use a kit now, but also could really use more health to avoid a one-shot. Feels like that's going to be a regular thing in this run. I really hate that move, because that kind of feels like bullshit. He rammed you slightly! That one, a bit more fair. Swap out for Ludlows. I don't know. We'll see. Setsus would be the way to go, actually. Just because they have a lot of pretty solid stagger build-up. As much as I want to say the handguns would be the way to go, I'm not sure we'd have the hitting power to really make that stick, but he's also a gigantic target, so maybe? Well, I guess we're about to find out. Let's try handguns first. Okay. That was kind of janky, but I'll take it. Right? So whatever happened there happened. Cool idea for a boss. A little janky on the hitboxes, but hey, whatever. I say janky. I think it's more like bazookas and such are probably going to be potentially exploding in places where they shouldn't, because I felt like it was going to the right direction, but again with the I mean, that one I just straight up missed. Last few I just completely missed. just turning around, being all psychic and whatever. Stop spinning. Weird physics anomaly. I'm not even looking forward to what comments are going to look like for this video. Because I guarantee there's going to be, like, just, there's always the, like, somebody backseat driving, like, no, you see, there was an opening right here that you totally could have exploited if you aimed for this 1mm right over here. I'm like, yeah, good luck with actually hitting that 1mm. It's like, look at that whole situation, what did you expect? How is that going to work exactly? Like, even like right there, it felt like the same amount of distance that I pulled at any other time, but went in a totally different direction. Now, given the number of shots on this bazooka, there are times that I'm just going to use it for mid-air maneuvers, like just to try to hang in the air a little bit longer and whatnot. You know, mines and things. I don't even know how those ones hit me, to be honest. Also, I love that this dinky little pistol has as much stagger power as this friggin' bazooka. Take a safety heal here. Anybody else ever look at this thing and think it looks like a Twisted Metal boss, by the way? It's like, something about the way he does the whole sideways tilting thing always makes me think of Twisted Metal there. Reload. I like getting caught in these corners. That was actually a delayed input. I was trying to fire it a while ago, but it wasn't done reloading. Just taking a minute to get around to it. Don't run me over. Thank you kindly. Okay, pistol is almost out of ammo, though. Prediction shot predicted in the wrong direction. Damn. Okay, let's get energy back. One of the annoying things about this fight is that you're, well, energy in general, to be honest. So, like, you'll end up going into slow mode movement pretty regularly over the course of the fight. That was just some bullshit. Okay, what are you doing? calm down with all your weird prediction shooting. You are a robot. Do your robot thing. You're not allowed to be this good. Like, I know safety approach is just like fire 5 more bazooka shots or whatever into his back. Forget the stagger, just take the raw damage and call it good enough. Brain keeps wanting to go punch him instead. But yeah, this is gonna be one of those bosses that's like this. Sometimes he just zooms around like a madman and there's little you can do about it. Okay, 1 bazooka, 1 punch, that's all we really need here. Nice. Might have completely whiffed that. I remember hearing somewhere or reading something about him having, or about punches having some, like, really high damage adjustment or something. I probably should have been trying to punch there. Or a direct hit adjustment or whatever it's called. So it feels like armor shouldn't be an excuse for a bazooka round bouncing off. Alright. Away. Just a little more now. Get womboed and everything works out great. Well, this guy loves his wombos, you know? Alright. One little shot here. Sorry, that bazooka shot wasn't even meant to do anything. I was just trying to hover in the air because I saw a mine land underneath. I was like, shoot. Is that it? No. I felt like that would have been the shot. Almost. Alright, one more movement punch there. We got some rain of missiles going on. I feel like this guy might use the same AI as the Cataphract. Like, I swear sometimes he feels like he gets into that panic mode, you know? There we go. Hell yeah, that's parts unlocked, baby. Gotta do the classic. Just make sure he's very, very dead. Especially because this cutscene goes on forever. Alright, so that's Chapter 1 clear. That finally gives us access to a few things. I'm going to try to go do one arena fight real quick to see if we can unlock the kick. Because this unlocks the arena. Again, just one quick arena fight for the hell of it. Because I think it's just Rummy, and even Rummy, surprisingly, is a thing. Yeah, okay, go away, Rusty. So, we go to the nest. No, wait, hold on, I don't mean to go online in this thing. Not nest, the arena. The arena's called the arena, what? Okay. So, Invincible Rummy. What here? I mean, at this point we unlock the shotgun, so I figure bazooka shotgun. Like, I don't know about the rest of it, but I know the Haldeman gets unlocked. AC versus AC, dual Haldemans might just be the way to go for now. Okay, go away, I'll mind. What I was talking about earlier about them having no friggin' ammo capacity, though. Do I just go rifles on this? I think we just go rifles on this. It's like, was the bazooka strategy working out just fine? Sure was. But we're not admitting that little factoid. I think we actually get energy shotguns at this point, too, which would be pretty neato to have, but I don't feel like going through and figuring out what I can or cannot use right now. So what we're going to do is go for something a little bit like this. It's actually like this combination. Technically a little bit weaker than the standard double Rensetsu thing, but Ren Turner is actually pretty alright. But it just allows for a slightly more consistent fire rate at the cost of a little bit of penetration. And it's a lot lighter weight. But for situations like this, where they're basically going to be right in your face, also I want to be going and dodging them the other direction. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of this map for testing stuff, because that glow on the ground makes it hard to tell distance when doing manual fire. There's less of an obvious indicator of what's what. Like, probably the best combination of all of this is still, like, Ren and Laser Pistol. But still. This is decent enough. Or I could just go back to the original strategy and not die to a frickin' chainsaw. No idea how much ammo the Sweet 16 has, though, to know whether or not he is actually ammo cheesing or not. But, like, you see what I mean? Like, if you miss the first couple shots, you can kind of do the follow-up with the Turner. I can't quite do that with double Rens. Like, granted, this is no, like, end-all, be-all solid upgrade in every situation or anything, but it's just a nice little thing to have in your pocket, I suppose, for these kinds of situations. Kind of, you know, it sounds a little bit like a can being hit, and I doubt that's an accident. Alright. If you wanna just go ahead and die, please, that'd be great. It's like when you fight Bloodborne NPCs, but everyone's a Bloodborne NPC. Better, and a little better, and a little better, and a little better. Also technically do something like this. Line them up. Is that better? I don't know. Theoretically, this would be a better punish, I guess. Like, kind of walk it in with the rifle, and then yeah, that works pretty well actually. Yeah, I like that. Okay. That works. Yeah, the triple burst is definitely so much better than it was on launch right now. It's actually got a reason to be used, because you can very quickly throw it out there. But I will say, the RLF rifles, I guess we'll see if there's a reason to use those. So I kind of feel like the Ren does their job better. Like, you see what I mean? Like, it basically fires at the same rate that they do. Except it's got, I think, like, double the power or something. Well, it kind of feels like it's on purpose. It's meant to be sort of mass-produced trash, from what I understand. To some degree, anyway. Nope, nope. He's looking very invincible right now. Alright, now to do intercept the red guns in this thing. Just so you know, before the end of this whole thing, we're definitely going to be becoming those people that like learn how to use freaking shields to parry every shot. Because like I don't really see this happening any other way. All right, buddy, let's make it one last fancy shot here. All right, that works too. Okay. It's funny how setting it to medium settings caused the magazine not to fly out of the gun anymore. Oh well. Oh well. Price you pay for improved performance, I guess. Anyway, so that is the quest for the kick finally done. So that gets us our first OS tuning points, and that means we can get the boost kick as well as one other upgrade here. Do we go assault armor? I feel like this thing would benefit a lot from terminal armor. Yeah, so we get 2 points, so we get 1 there, and then we get... I'm thinking probably assault armor. Because damage upgrade's not really too concerned about. Although, if we skip out and get weight control, then that might open up double bazookas. I feel like assault armor gives us a bit more. Alright. Get the assault armor. Gives a pretty decent amount of punishment there. Probably replace this with the double Rens, maybe? Or maybe even... Yeah, that feels like a solid combination. Okay. Anyway, that'll be that for now. I am tired, and this is a good little point to end it. So, thank y'all for stopping by. This will be the first of these sections here. The first brick wall cleared, the first big kind of important steps for moving forward. We get both the assault armor and the kick, which basically renders this thing almost somewhat viable for basic functions. So it's something. It's capable of moving its foot. We got some WD-40 and got the rust off. But yeah, that's this rusty mess going forward. Again, it's weird, but I'm sure you can kind of tell the student pilot was legitimately the biggest threat up to this point because of how hard countered everything was. I completely forgot to mention about that infinite ammo thing. That's kind of an important detail. But anyway, I gotta get going. Y'all have a good one. Take care.